So what is tithing is a very loaded question to ask a 28-year-old. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell you. But tithing is basically giving 10% of what you have to God. It's all God, so basically you're just giving back to Him what is already His. And so when we think about tithing, we always think, we don't want to talk about the F word in church, finances. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's important because, if you don't know how to control your money, it will control you. So ultimately, tithing is just a tool to give back to God what is already His. The Bible talks about being a cheerful giver, and I was more of a grimacing giver. I was like, only giving because everybody else in my row would give. And so I was like, Lord, I'm gonna give you these $5, even though I really wanna buy queso later, but I'm gonna give them to you. I'm gonna be happy about it. And by doing that, I kind of started small, and it's just like a muscle. Like the more you work it out, the easier it gets. And so I started off small, taking out 10% and just putting that into tithing. There are times where it did get difficult. And I think automatically when we hear about it, our mind just shuts off, like it's too hard, like we just automatically put the brakes on it before we even give it a chance. It's kind of like, I'm not trying to sell you a timeshare. I'm just trying to tell you about this biblical principle that works. It works for me. It can work for you too. And so there were times, especially like I fluctuated like we all do. But I learned, the more that I became committed to it as a practice, the easier it got, because I knew at the end of the day, like God's got me. Like I trust His word, I trust what it says, and I know like by doing this, it's a biblical principle, it's in the word works. Like I trust you, Jesus, even when it's hard. I believe that tithing has grown my faith like exponentially. So when I first began tithing, I was in high school, and then, as soon as I was about to graduate high school, I was presented with an opportunity to go on a missions trip to Thailand through the Way Bible Church. And the way that the timing kind of landed was I was gonna have to forego a lot of scholarships that I was offered to go to college like right after I graduated. When I told my parents about it, I thought they were gonna be like, girl, the only place you're going is the classroom. But they were fine with it, they were cool with it, bless them. And it was hard because I was like, how am I, this teenager, supposed to pay? Like it was a pretty large sum of money. But I stayed faithful with tithing and everything, and Pastor Joel called me one day that someone had called the church and paid for my entire trip. And I was like, what? Because in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna have to work this many hours, do this many things. But by being small with what I had, God spoke to someone else to bless me. Also paying for my college. So college, y'all, they will charge you for breathing out here. You look at the breakdown and it's like this fee for this fee for that. And I was paying for my college myself whenever I went back to finish my degree. But I stayed faithful in tithing, and I saw like through that, like I graduated debt free, and it was never a stress, it was never a worry. Even when my work hours were cut in half, even when I was working for a local business during a pandemic, I never saw any lack, and I knew it was because I was trusting God with my finances first. And tithing, it's not like going to Chuck E. Cheese and I give you this amount of money and you give me this amount of tokens. God's not a genie. There's still things that I want. There's still things that I don't have. The word never promises me that just because I tithe, I'm gonna have every single thing that I want. Every bill of mine's gonna get covered. Every front row parking spot is mine. That's not what the word says. But what the word says is that He will take care of you when you give back to Him what is already His. And I believe that giving with a cheerful heart and giving just with a trusting heart, like God's not going to fail you. And I know that it can feel hard, and especially now, you kind of feel the crunch. Prices are higher than ever. Your grocery bill is increasing. Gas, I don't want to talk about it. I know it can feel kind of hard, but I think that there's a new level of trust when you trust Jesus, even when it feels hard. Like I trust that by me planting this seed, that we're going to watch it grow, and I'm going to trust you even when it may feel hard. God's got you, and He has a good plan for you, and He's going to make it work out for you because He makes that happen for those that He loves, and He loves us. Through tithing, I have learned that The word works, and what God says, he means it, and he's not going to lie. He's not someone who's going to leave you out to dry. He's not someone who's only going to come to you when times are good. He's a friend, and he's a faithful father, and he takes care of his kids. And I've learned that even just through a simple thing like money, it's just a tool. Even just by giving that first 10, just by trusting him in that way, I've learned that his word is true. It can be trusted, and it's not going to return void. And I think nowadays, like, we see all these new things, try this, try that, whatever else. It's like, no, we can just go back to the basic principle of trusting God with what is already his. He is true, and he can be trusted. I feel like I can say that a million times. But the character of God isn't something that we have to second guess. It's not something that we have to worry about. He is true. His character is founded in his word, and we can trust that he's going to take care of us like he promised that he would. And the main takeaway of this message, it's not like money is the main thing. Money is not the main thing. But we can find that when we trust in money, we'll never have enough. But when we trust in God, we'll always find that he is more than enough.